Time for Campaign Chronicles now then, our daily look at the race for the French presidency. Today we're looking at the role of women in French politics. To shed some light on that, we're going to be joined very shortly by Rainbow Murray from Queen Mary University of London. Also here to shed some light on it, of course, as ever, is Elena Casas, our press reviewer, who's kind of taking over the politics mantle for the next month or so here on France 24. Where are all the women in the French presidential contest then, Elena?
There's a whole 3 months to go, remember, Stuart. But yeah, where are the women? That's what the former minister, Rachida Dati, is asking in an article, quite strongly worded article, that she's written today for the French Huffington Post. She says France should be ashamed that there aren't more women in politics. There's only 18% in Parliament. And she says that now none of the major candidates are running, and none of the major parties, rather, are running a woman candidate in this election. Then they're being pushed to one side. There aren't any major women leading up campaigning, according to her. Now, she thinks this is a dreadful situation, but is it really as bad as all that? Remember, just the last election, the Socialist Party did, of course, run a woman candidate, Ségolène Royal, who didn't do as badly as all that, and they're trotting her out again at the moment, the Nouvel Observateur says, because she's actually is very popular. She's got a strong support base, particularly in France's poorer banlieues, in the big cities down south, and among working class voters who they desperately need to win back to the Socialist Party, so they don't vote for Marine Le Pen, who of course is also a woman. And the Nouvel Observateur point out that in their different ways, Ségolène Royal and Marine Le Pen both trade on the fact that they are women. They might actually be using it to their advantage. Royal, of course, is quite known for her direct, personal, intimate style, and that does engage voters. That's why they say she is and remains an asset to the Socialist Party. And Marine Le Pen, on her side, has very much changed the image of her party from what it was like when it was run by her father. Just because she's younger and because she's a woman, she's managed to make it look much softer, more approachable, less extremist for the vast majority of ordinary French voters. So it might actually be an advantage, according to that article at least. If I can bring in Rainbow Murray on this, do you think then that being a woman in French politics is still a handicap? Could it be an advantage, as we were just saying there? Or do French voters actually not really care what the gender of candidates is?
For the most part, I think French voters don't care. I think there are aspects where being a woman can be a disadvantage. In the previous election, there was quite gendered media coverage of Ségolène Royal. The coverage tended to report more on her appearance, on her personal life, things that were trivial and detracted from her stature as a leader of the country, which was her weakest point. But when it comes to voting in parliamentary elections, people just vote on the party ticket and they don't care whether the candidate is a man or a woman. And it's been encouraging that in this election there has been less of the gendered media reporting than we saw last time around. So I think France is getting over the novelty value of having a woman candidate and is ready to just elect the person that they most want to see as president.
Raymond, I feel bad asking this question as a man, but it could equally be a woman asking it. I mean, there are quite a few women candidates in the frame. We've got Marine Le Pen, Eva Joly. We almost had Martine Aubry, some would say, instead of François Hollande. I mean, it's not that there are no women involved at all, is it?
It's not that there are no women involved at all, but if we're perfectly honest, if you're not the candidate for the Parti Socialiste or the UMP, you're probably not going to get elected. So those are the two candidates that matter, and on this particular occasion, they are both men. It was nearly Martine Aubry. I think if she had run from the outset, rather than coming in as the sort of shadow of Dominique Strauss-Kahn, she might have been strong enough to beat François Hollande. So I think there are still strong women coming through in the Socialist Party, and I think it's not inconceivable that we might have a woman candidate into the second round next time.
One of the fears, of course, is appearance. Let's be brutally honest about it. A lot of people saying that maybe Martine Aubry did not cut the mustard because she doesn't look the part.
I would say that if voters care more about the appearance of their president than they do about the president's capacity to get the job done, then they're going to get what they ask for. I think there's too much emphasis on the appearance of women candidates, and that's another way in which women may receive prejudicial media coverage compared to male candidates. There's very little comment on the appearance of men, that they are judged much more on the important things that matter, such as their ability to act decisively, their ability to make good decisions.
So what do you do about it then? How do you get more women involved so that maybe next time round, who knows, maybe both parties, both of the two main parties choose women?
The key thing is to have women in the pipeline. You can't just create a presidential candidate overnight. So parties need to give women big positions of responsibility. And that's something that we have seen in the Socialist Party, that Martine Aubry was the leader of the party coming into the party primary. We've got fewer women in strong positions in the UMP. We had a number of women in Sarkozy's cabinet when he first came into power, and most of those women did not have independent power bases and have lost their positions of power over time, such as Rashida Dati, who we were recently talking about, who's now had to go up against François Fillon for a legislative seat because her party has not given her one. So parties need to help women in the pipeline. They need to give women positions of authority. They need to keep promoting women, and then the women will be coming through and they'll be able to contend for the presidency on the same grounds as men.
And just finally, very, very briefly, just to be devil's advocate once again, some might argue that if the women were strong enough and had the right policies, then they would be there being elected.
I would argue that women face different barriers to men, and that being strong enough and having the right policies isn't sufficient when you're also coming across barriers such as men blocking your route to power, such as the media trivialising your campaign. So I think women often have to be significantly better than men in order to get as far as men did. And if we can get rid of those artificial barriers, then the ideal would absolutely be for men and women to compete on equal terms. May the best candidate win.
Well said. Rainbow, thank you very much. Good to talk to you today. Get your views on women in politics, of course. As the campaign hots up, Elena's going to be back, of course, with a lot more as well over the coming months as the campaign continues. Full coverage here on France 24. Latest headlines coming up with Jeannie very shortly. Stay with us.